Guys, I'll be honest, I think it's about time to admit to everyone that these are no longer really 100 subscriber specials. I mean, they are, in that that's the whole reason why we do the top 10s, but at this point, it's much more just I like doing top 10s. I enjoy putting these videos up, I enjoy talking about them, and I enjoy seeing people talk in the comments about these toy lines we're talking about. So, we'll drop the celebration. Just know that the top 10s are going to continue, and this time around we're talking about the middle child of the Energon trilogy because this is my top 10 Transformers Energon figures. I've said this several times. Energon, I kind of have a soft spot for because they're such an underdog of a toy line. People love the engineering of Cybertron, people love the aesthetics of Armada and the story of Armada on top of that, both as a cartoon and as a toy line, Energon is almost always left in the dust. Best shown by the fact that even recently, even though Hasbro is making new toys of Armada and Cybertron figures, the only new Energon figure is a Core Class Megatron that was repainted into a Core Class Galvatron. And yet, Energon is an amazing toy line. Just to mess with these toys is more fun than Armada. Armada has the gimmickry and the aesthetics, but these guys are actually proper action figures. Action figures that went on to inform some of the best toys of all time in Animated and Universe 2.0. These are some great toys. And we're going to go through them now. The top 10 Transformers Energon figures in my collection, with a big thank you for everyone who is just sticking around, and also a little bit of a personal note. I just finished the mini toys of Shockwave. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I am very happy and too wired to go to sleep. So, yeah, this is what I get up to on a Tuesday night. You know, I just realized it's the first time Optimus Prime's shown up in one of these top 10 figures of a toy line list. Oh boy, what a place to start. At number 10, it is the Platinum Edition re-release of Energon Optimus. Now, to be fair, the colors should be more vibrant on this guy, and I do think that's hurting him, but in all honesty, as fun as this Optimus is, especially with the combination gimmick, he's very impaired as a figure. Articulation's rough, the design is interesting, but doesn't have the massive super robot appeal of Cybertron or the unique energy of Armada. He's trapped in this weird in-between phase where as a tiny robot he looks too much like G1 Optimus, and as a big robot, well, I mean, he's certainly unique to say the least. There's just not a lot going for this guy when it comes to being an actual toy. He's a little bit big, he's a little too rickety, and he doesn't have the same charm as Armada toys, yet he's still a massive figure. He is an absolute tower of a thing that has so much imposing energy to him, and I do think he is a really cool and unique take on Optimus. And besides, without this Optimus, we wouldn't have got my beloved Optimus Maximus from Combiner Wars. I mean, my favorite Prowl and my favorite Mirage, I have to accept that without this Energon, those guys don't come out nearly 20 years later. He's a good Optimus, not the best, but if this was my childhood Prime, I think I'd be pretty happy with him. At number 9, it's our old boy Demolishor, and this figure is always going to have a soft spot in my heart because I got him at Savannah Spice. The convention that happens in Savannah, it's going to happen again in April. My buddy Avery puts it up. I got this guy there alongside a couple of other favorites of mine. And yeah, he's a good little guy. It's more the memories that made me like this Demolishor, admittedly. I don't like this design as much as his Armada design, and I don't really like him as a toy, to be honest with you. He's just a bit too blocky and chunky, and it doesn't help that, like, talk about a glow down. Like, going from the Armada, like, oh man, the tank with the bloodstains and the guns and all the minicon gimmicks and the big eye, and now he's just this. He looks like he should be a part of the construction team, but he's not. Oh well, as soon as I get a Snowcat, maybe I'll feel better about him. Seriously though, if you're going to be in Savannah in April, go to Sav Spice 2. It's really fun. Talk about a little surprise. This is the Target exclusive Movie 1 Elita 1. Yes, this is supposed to be Bayverse Elita 1. And it's a repaint of Energon RC. I put her with my Energon toys because, she doesn't really go with the movie people. What a great little toy. A Scout class motorcycle, and this would have been our first RC ever put to retail. And if I'm not mistaken, it's also our first Elita 1, which really, literally, that is two of my 5 favorite Autobots, and this is the debut figure for both. What a fun little toy. Admittedly, it's been outdone many times since then, but I'm always going to like how Elita 1 has this burgundy brown mixed in with the silver and the white. RC, I'm not big on her paint scheme from Energon, but I think Elita 1 really fixes it, and they also did a Chromia-inspired repaint for movie RC, also Target exclusive, also using this mold, but then RC also had a normal deluxe that was like a movie design. Look, the movie 1 had a really weird toy line, but I'm happy it gave me this Elita 1. At number 7, I might get some hate, but I do have a lot of love for Energon Hotshot. I think this is the weakest toy he had in Unicron Trilogy, but I really like the design here. The car mode is just great, and I do like how the color scheme and the general design of the robot mode are. His translucent red gun is nice and fun, even though his articulation's very, very jolted, not exactly what I would like out of a robot. You can't deny his combined modes are great, and I think that's really where this guy shines, is basically as legs or as a shirt for Inferno. We'll get to him later on. But Hotshot, more than holding his own in Wave 1, and I just really have been taken with this guy recently. He's the only proper Unicron Trilogy Hotshot I have. I have the Legacy United version of Cybertron Hotshot, I have the Legacy Evolution version of Armada Hotshot, but I don't have their original toy forms. So until I do, this guy's special to me because it's like this is the Hotshot I could have gotten if I had been able to get Armada or Energon or Cybertron toys as a kid. This guy is really, really fun. And check this out, okay? Boop. Ha! He's like Mechanic. He can see you coming from a mile away, son. What you gonna do when the giraffe bot comes for you? At number 6, it's a guy who I really hope we're gonna see in Legacy, or rather Age of the Primes, before too much longer. It's Barricade. So Barricade is the leader of the Destruction Team. He's inspired by Onslaught. He has an amazing missile truck mode. His robot mode is also really solid. I love how tall and blocky he is. He looks like a quarterback on a football team. And the reason why I mention I think he's going to get a new toy very soon is Nexus Prime is going to get a new toy in Age of the Primes. And Nexus Prime, at least his core component, Heatwave, is heavily inspired, not just heavily inspired, completely repainted from Energon Barricade. And if they're going to make the mold for that, that makes me think we might also get Energon Destruction Team as well. And I hope we do. Blight, Kickback, Blackout. I'm pretty sure Vortex was in there too. I've always liked them. They're very simple toys, and I think that for both the Energon Combiner and also Nexus Prime, the way you could do this is literally have Barricade, or, Heatwave, be a deluxe, and then make the smaller guys core class. Because the Energon Combiners aren't supposed to be massive. They're really just about the size of Optimus Prime and Megatron. I think it would be a cool way to let kids experience the Combiner play pattern without forcing them to break the bank. Look at Menasor, the last Combiner they did, right? For that, you would need to get 4 $25 deluxes and a $100 Commander class figure. Why not have it to where it's one $25 deluxe and then 4, $12 core class figures? Already kids are able to do that with the core class combiners like Dino King and Volcanicus, but I think it'd be really cool to see it happen again for the Energon combiners. It's a thing that's unique to those combiners, and I just realized I talked more about my hypothetical toy list than I actually talked about this guy. Point is, he's cool. Jesus Christ, Shockwave bullied Cliffjumper way too hard and he got swole. Yeah, no joke. At number 5, it's your friend and mine, Cliffjumper. This is what Cliffjumper looks like in Energon. He turns into an amazing dune buggy, and then he transforms, and he's just a behemoth. He's here to steal your lunch money. He is here to beat you up, nerd. Look at him with his, ski goggles, and his massive tire wheels, his big shoulder pads. I got this guy at Planet Fun, like literally the day after I did the mini toys of Cliff Jumper, and what a magical day. There's nothing cooler than doing a mini toys of, and then the toy I really wanted from that character, or one of those toys, literally just shows up. Man, it was cool. It was really cool to finally get this guy in my collection. Unfortunately, I will never review him. And I'm never going to review him because this mold is prone to self-destructing if you transform it too much. So guess what I'm never doing with this guy? I'm never going to transform him. It's sad. It really is sad. But then you might look at that and say, Ron Bondajon, how did he make it to number 5 if he's only half a toy? It's because, look at it! That's not half a toy! That is a mountain of a man! That is a wonderful robot mode with great articulation and wonderful proportions, and may I just add that I love the color scheme. It's a little bit Roadbuster, but really I can't think of another guy who looks like this. Maybe Hardhead. Actually a lot Hardhead, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so maybe he reminds me of Hardhead. And the fact that it's Cliff Jumper just makes it all the sweeter. It's like, that's my boy. That's my little red boy. One sec. Get down here. Get down here, nerd. Boom. Be careful the kids you pick on in school. You never know who's going to go from that to that. Oh my god. I've not put him next to a G1 Cliff Jumper. Oh god. That makes this figure so friggin' funny, is when you put him next to a G1 Cliff. Oh god. That's why this guy's number 5. Is a robot. He just can't be topped, man. He can't be touched. He's a massive figure with great gimmicks and a good look, and I hope that he will ask me to the malt shop later. Yeah, I hope he takes me on a 50s date. Oh god, where are we on the list? At number 4, it is the single Autobot from the deluxe line that I think does the gimmick the best of the line, that being Inferno. Inferno works amazingly as the upper body for a robot or the lower body, and by the way, double Inferno is just the best thing to ever come out of Energon. Unfortunately, I can't do double Inferno yet, but you better believe if I ever get my greedy little hands on another Inferno, double Inferno is going to happen every single night. I really like this take on Inferno. I think it's a better design than G1 Inferno even. I like his big arm cannon, I like his head design, I like everything about this dude. I think that it's just a stellar redo of a fire truck transformer, and when you get down to it, I don't think they've ever done fire truck transformer wrong. Because let's run down the list, right? Heatwave, amazing. Pyro, amazing. Inferno, amazing. This Inferno, amazing. Animated Optimus, amazing. Name me one. Oh, RID Optimus, amazing. Splendid Prime, amazing. I'm trying to think if there's any I'm missing. Motormaster, amazing. Animated Nemesis, amazing. Look, my point is, when it's a transforming fire truck, it's always going to work out pretty well. I don't know what it is about fire trucks, but the Hasbro team are just like there with the fire trucks, and they're like, hey, every time we gotta send out something that is simple, it's intuitive, but it just works. This isn't the most detailed or the most insane transformation in Energon. What it is a simple toy made incredibly well. And like a really well done sandwich, you're taken back by the fact that something so simple can be so satisfying. This Inferno is basically, you close your eyes and imagine a transformer, boom, that's what you imagine. But he works it. He works it, and he's great. I love this Inferno, and even if you're not an Energon fan, even if there's figures I would personally put above this guy, if I were to tell someone what the first figure from Energon should be, so you can understand the line and see if you want to get into it, I would always recommend Inferno. He was a Wave 1 bot, and he did exactly what a Wave 1 bot should do. Made me want to get a whole lot more of these things. Oh god, it doesn't matter what backdrop I put him in, he just looks good every time! That is Energon Sharkticon. His review will be coming out very soon. But even though he has a massive backpack, and even though he's a bit weak in the knees, he is also one of the best figures to ever come out of Energon, one of the most unique Transformers I've ever had, and an amazing design. They made this guy into so many characters. Skybite, the Axelon from Beast Wars, actual Sharkticons, but this original version with the yellow and the purple and the silver and the red and the black, it's a color scheme that shouldn't work, and on anyone else it wouldn't, but on this guy, I feel like Pacha just saying, when the sun hits it just right. I love the Sharkticon. His transformation is amazing, and I love the robot shark mode. It's a battleship, but it actually kind of looks like a shark. It's like a G.I. Joe vehicle, the more I think about it. And yet, when he transforms, there's no mistaking. That's 100% Cybertronian beefcake. I love this guy. I love the character. You can kind of imagine for him. To me, I think that he's like a rat bat. He's like a kind of upper class nobleman who is like constantly looking down on the common rabble, but he is giving like money to Megatron. I think he's just a great, great, great figure. In fact, forget what I said about Inferno. Get Sharkticon. More people need a Sharkticon in their lives. I love you, Energon Sharkticon. I'm going to give you a little kissy kissy. Well, I knocked him over there. And be honest, guys, I've gone back and forth like 15 times over who's number 2 and who's number 1 between these final pair. On one hand, you got the TFCC Air Razor repainted from Slug Slinger from Energon, and just an amazing figure. Our first look at what a Cybertronian Air Razor would have been like, and an inspired repaint that brought a whole new life to what was already an excellent mold that so many people slept on. And then on the other hand, I mean, it's just one of the best shockwaves of all time, Energon Shock Blast. Oh, who's number 1? Who could possibly be number 1? How could I possibly make a decision under these circumstances? Energon Shock Blast. I'm sorry, guys. I really love this figure, and you know I do. I just gushed on him on a review just a few weeks ago. The thing is, there's enough tiny issues here that hold him back. The monster gun arm is fun, but it really weighs him down and it limits his posability. I've had enough of those panels fall off, and there's also just the ever-looming threat of what happens if the waist goes bad on my copy, and then I lose one of my favorite shockwaves. I can't mess with this guy as much as I want to. I want to be able just to pose him constantly. I want to be able to play with him constantly. I want to be able to take photos of him constantly. But I can't because I might break him. And he's such a beautiful boy. He really is. He looks so good standing on a shelf. But he's also that type of guy who I want more than just standing on the shelf. I want to feel him in my hands. I want to be able to transform him into the satellite or to the tank. It's little problems, QC problems, the universe, dare I say, is what's separating me and Energon Shock Blast right now. But just know, if it weren't for that waist issue in particular, he wouldn't just be number 1 from Energon, he'd be my favorite figure from the Unicron trilogy, period. He is a phenomenal toy. And at number 1, it's TFCC Air Razor, a remold of Energon Slug Slinger, which was already one of the best molds they put out for Cybertron, but the color scheme really helps invoke the Beast Wars design. I love how the kibble has been painted to look like the wings. You have the 2 cockpits now looking more like her just normal design from Beast Wars, and I love the shoulder-mounted cannon as well. That's not, from Air Razor, but it's a great design aspect. I love that she has the Seeker arm guns. I love the head. Everything about this Air Razor works for me. It's what I still picture in my head when I think of what did Air Razor look like before the Beast Wars, when she was still on Cybertron, and even though there have been other attempts to do so, and in fact I own the other attempts to do so, I still think that this is the best pre-Beast Wars Air Razor. A phenomenal figure that, again, I actually got at Planet Fun, and when I eventually make the mini toys of Air Razor, she definitely has a shot at being my number 1 Air Razor of all time. A truly great figure that showed what the Transformers Collectors Club was capable of back before, they started to suck. Getting my top 3 back in, and you might notice they're all Decepticon molds. Energon Autobots had to work in the combination gimmick, and as a result, a lot of them suffered or felt very samey. In Energon, the Decepticons brought it. Very few of the Energon Decepticon toys are bad. A few of them are boring, but none of them are bad. And some of them are truly spectacular in design. Galvatron, king among them. And when I find Energon Galvatron, it will be a happy, happy day in the Ron Bondajon household, but until that happens, these guys are going to be the undisputed top 3 of the toy line for me. Sharkticon, because he is glamorous. Shock Blast, because he is striking. And Air Razor, because it's a pretty clever repaint. I love these 3. I like Energon in general, too. As I said, even I find it hard to remember Energon when compared to Armada and Cybertron. But when you go back to it, man, just man, there was some great gold in that toy line.